Yeah, now we're rolling. All right. It's connecting.
Ready to roll?
Yeah, we're rolling. We're live all over the planet now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Zach Hoffman,
Sunday.
Pat Hilton in the building.
Monday.
Sunday, Monday, what day is it?
Sunday, Monday. You have a good Father's Day.
I had a great Father's Day. How about you?
Yeah, everything was good. Everything was great.
I love it.
Spent time with the family.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's roll. Zuckerberg changed a couple settings on us this morning, so his software is being a little glitchy, but we're gonna battle, we're gonna rally, and we're gonna make it happen. So, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Monday morning. It is the update you've been waiting for. So, Zach, take it away. Let the people know what we got on the hopper today.
Yeah, man. We got 5 topics we're gonna hit, just like we do every Monday here. But essentially, we're going to highlight a rib eating contest that, we're out there prospecting that we came across that was pretty cool that a firm was doing. Local news, creating your own news, becoming your own syndicate. Traditional TV, NBA Finals can't pull numbers. Why do you think the news is? Don't buy the BS. Major settlements, if you're hitting them, announce them. And then still on the sidelines when it comes to social media or going live, definitely create your own schedule and just start to hit record and broadcast. I mean, the reality is timing is going to be everything, and these algorithms are reading and essentially interpreting everything we're saying, so they're going to be coming out the other side when it comes to search results or the way consumers are looking for information.
It's awesome. And there's so much opportunity out there right now. And we even noticed it just over the last week that people are getting their news from social media, no matter what's happening in the world. And I said this last week, ChatGPT went down, Cloudflare went down, which is ClickFunnels. A bunch of other websites went down, and guess what was working? Facebook, X, Instagram. And so that's where people were. That's where people are. And so I think that if you are a marketer or you are someone that sells any type of product and you're not on social media, you're literally being overlooked by the entire planet.
Definitely on my read list. Barron's wrote an article this past week about how, search is definitely being reset. What are businesses, doing as a result, to reprogram for social media and everything that's going on. Essentially, if you look at the moguls of the world and the wealthiest people, it's no joke. Mark Zuckerberg's on that list. Elon Musk with X is on that list. Major influencers of our time are not, essentially the Rockefellers or, people controlling NBC or, these old broadcast styles. We continue to talk about how they continue to go through bankruptcy, restructuring, and still can't save themselves.
Yeah, and I think that it's just the main thing about this all is if anybody wants to survive the next 3 to 5 years against the robots and AI and all that, building the personal brand and the personal relationship with your audience is the one connection that's going to keep you alive. And I mean, we were talking about that with the ad I sent you this morning.
Yeah, it's really embracing and, hitting that next growth point. It's not necessarily, I would say, like survival. Like there's firms and there's definitely businesses that are going to continue to survive. It's just how much do you thrive in today's environment and what are you going to leverage into the future as everything continues to evolve really quickly? Because what you do today is going to be dictating your tomorrow.
Yep.
So it's no better time to get started on producing and syndicating content than, this moment as we speak.
I love it, dude. I love it. Let's hop in.
Started. Yeah, as our team's out there, prospecting hundreds of firms, we came across one that's actually hosting a rib eating contest. Is Seiler Ningberg out of New York. Essentially, they're hosting a rib eating contest with a local radio personality, probably where they run ads, this guy Orlando, and then 20 to 30 local restaurants as well as a local nonprofit. And they utilized it as, I would say a cornerstone to essentially have an event at their office and get people, in the doors. Essentially, I hope they're cutting and utilizing a lot of segments to broadcast on social media, but it's a great excuse, a great way to, essentially get people interested in your firm and essentially get sticky eyes. But then it gives you a lot of social media content and assets to essentially cut and bring forward, by just, creating your own coverage of that particular event that you're hosting at your own office that people are interested in.
I love that, man. Putting on your own stuff, filming, documenting, then chopping it up shows the behind the scenes of your ability to consult in real time. And that's the joy of this new podcasting era that we're in. I mean, we're entering the podcasting golden age. And I kind of saw this about a year or a year and a half ago, especially when you started like filming stuff with us. I noticed it because you're a great speaker. You're very clear. You're very clean. You know your stuff. You've been in the game for a while. Not everyone is at that level. A lot of people, a conversational format like this, I'm able to pull a lot more information out of someone that's new to the camera or that's new to putting their knowledge on camera. And it helps them feel more like that, more like it's just hanging out. It doesn't feel like a show. It's just more of a conversation. Whereas someone like you can show up with bullet points, you dial it in, we cut our content from that. You're a pro. But I do think that the podcast format helps everyone elevate because anybody can be a part of the conversation.
Well, essentially, yeah. And it's like the podcast word, I think, is being tossed around and thrown around. Like there's so much more layers to it. I wouldn't even call live video or just live cuts podcasting. I think that's really what it's becoming. Podcasting is almost going to become almost like a boring medium, I think. If you don't have like really great interviews or really great content, like don't buy just hey, do a podcast to do a podcast and get your reps in. Like, if your reps of yesterday were like totally irrelevant and didn't really have purpose, don't expect your future podcasts to like attract the right guests or attract people to actually even listen as you continue down that funnel. You know, the podcast of today is going to dictate that podcast of tomorrow, and the content that you're creating needs to be rich, which is why getting more current, getting more localized with the content is going to become more key and critical to essentially evolving how your content lives in today's universe.
Well, yeah, you got to have the right bullet points to cut, and that's where people like you come in. You're very good at creative branding, and that's why you create these great bullet points, which we reviewed a few of them here before we got on, and they're great. So let's start running down some of those and see what you got on the hopper for today.
No, for sure. So, another thing is creating your own local news. If there's like a major accident in your area or something that's really attracting, just eyes and ears of the local, major news syndicates, make sure that you're covering that local news on your live streams or on your feeds and getting those live, because that's going to make you more relevant, especially as accidents or incidents continue to happen along that same theme. The social media, formulas, the search engines within are going to continue to go back to your content because you're creating relevant content for what's actually happening. If we had to predict the future as to how this is all going to come to head, essentially everything that we're saying is being dictated and pushed into an algorithm. So it's going to build up your search relevance today and tomorrow into the AI, engines. So make sure you're getting really current with your content and that you're not necessarily waiting for a record date, a month out. Content doesn't need to be perfect. If you look at Grant Cardone, who's the master of social media, his content is anything but perfect. If anything, it's very raw and it's very real, which really does connect with his audience and makes it, the home run that it is today.
Yeah, something happens in the world that relates to real estate or interest rates, or if something happens in the world that's related to a personal injury or whatever. There was an F1 race where some guy like flipped over and was driving on the ground. He's okay, thankfully. But I mean, that car crash is all over my news feed.
Is it? Yeah, I haven't seen
all
that,
over my news feed.
Yeah,
and so like something happens and you're the first person to get to coverage. The viral window closes within X amount of hours. And if you're the first person to get that piece out, whether it's interest rates, a personal injury, a real estate, something happens in the real estate market, or the Fed does this, or the banks do that, and you're someone who's on top of it.
Look, that stuff is a little bit passe. I mean, the reality of like the news that you have today is like major news came out in Minnesota this weekend. So safety to when police officers say they're at your door, to actually understand if they're really at your door. That's like a major thing right now. So you might want to speak to, something of that nature. Mm-hmm. And then if there was a major accident over the weekend, over like the Father's Day weekend in your local neighborhood or something, walking people through the, the aftermath of the incident, the things that they should be doing, the things they should be recording or actually, doing from the accident scene are very like critical to, really moving the needle. So you got to be like current as to current events of your local area, and even on a national syndicate. I wouldn't necessarily toot your horn as to what's going on internationally or your political positions. Nobody wants to hear it.
No, they don't.
We have enough drama going on, in our own personal worlds that we have to like funnel in and really care about what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with all those topics, 6 or 7 years ago when I first got onto the internet, making fun of anything and everything got me views, but it didn't get me clients. That's something
Yeah.
for folks to remember, like staying in your lane, being consistent on your knowledge base, making sure that you're providing a solution for people while giving them free value is the way that you're going to attract the right people. And any of that other stuff is just noise.
For sure. For sure. I mean, keep your opinions to yourself in a way a lot of people just don't want to hear it. Yeah, okay, so the reality is, there's a lot of firms that buy traditional media and traditional television. If the NBA cannot crack viewership, your news local syndicate cannot either. So like stop buying the Kool-Aid. Really press your local media buyers for real opportunities. Not that like you're going to be in the segment or getting this, 30-second spot, minute spot here and there. Try to get their personalities into your content, onto your social feeds where people are actually potentially watching. Like I said, if the NBA is not cracking viewership, you're probably going to see a continued drop in viewership for professional sports teams. There's no reason to believe people are watching your local news. Like, just don't buy it. And the population that's being born today is not going to be watching traditional TV.
No.
It's just not happening.
It's like I said, all the stuff that happened over the weekend or last week, or like I told you, a lot of big websites were down, including ChatGPT. You could go to X, you could go to Facebook, you could go to Instagram, and there were videos about it. People are pointing at the screen with their little TikTok green screens and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I found out about it, not from the local news.
Dude, I was trying to watch the local news just to get a recap of I'm not going to go into my political stance, but what's been going on throughout the international world.
Right.
Couldn't even find it on regular TV. I'm on YouTube TV. Literally could not find where to watch it. Lester
Wow.
Holt's off NBC. I can't even, I did find the new broadcast that they're having, but can't get the recordings to dial in at this stage. And like I said, traditional TV is grind. It's literally dying on the grapevine. So there's a lot of ways to crack it, and creating your own news, creating your own content, your own feed is really relevant. Even when I'm watching on my Instagram feed, and I'll be watching it at night sometimes, there'll be feeds going on from specific local markets where people are getting hundreds of viewers. They're getting hundreds of viewers, they're getting a lot of engagement, and they're getting people to actually watch their feeds. Believe me, there's a local news anchor that doesn't want to keep waking up at 3 or 4 a.m. to go to the local recording studio at 6 or 7 a.m. That would probably get on your local broadcast for the right price. Or if you negotiate into your right traditional media buying deal, you could probably get that personality to do some on-air syndication for your firm.
I love that you said that. And someone who's really, really great at that is Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary's got a little home studio set up like you and me, and he sets up an alternate angled camera. So he's got his suit on, up here, I've got my little jersey on for my company, but then below he's got pajama pants on and funny sandals and Crocs, and he's on everything. He's on CNN. He's on Fox. He's on NBA broadcasts. He's on his social media, and he takes clips of him in all these different interviews. So he doesn't need to be the broadcaster. He just comes in and does a segment, and he gets the clips anyway. That's the way to go about it. Then you don't have to sit there for 3 hours and regurgitate whatever's happening all over the world. He comes in, he hits his talking points, he gets the clips, they go up on his social, and he does it every single day of the week.
Yeah, but his cornerstone, his platform was definitely Shark Tank, CNBC.
Totally.
Essentially, when you're looking at local media and you're doing local media buys, there's a number of stations to buy from. So there's a number of negotiation points to hit. And if you want to get some in-air segments, some in-air time, demand it, ask for it. You should be able to give consults and be able to give your position on a particular accent, why it did happen in your community. You should be able to negotiate your dollars into those, opportunities, and then parlay those into the same opportunities that, Kevin O'Leary did to really get his brand to the next level. Today's media is definitely hyper evolving. And if you're swinging the dollars to float what you call traditional, then you should be able to get some, some leeway as to
there's got to be opportunities, like you said, for firm owners or for consultants to get on those time slots, because they need guests, because they need people to bounce stuff off of. People don't believe the teleprompter anymore. They know when you're using one.
I'm somebody that's bought traditional media over a number of years, going all the way probably 15 years back. 15 years back, you could get in-place segments. You can get in-place segments tomorrow. You can get in-place segments yesterday. Like, don't buy that they won't give you an in-place segment to talk about a specific accident or something that happened in the community. You just
I
have to
also
push a
think
little harder.
there is social proof still to being on the news. Like if you've got a clip on your Instagram and you're on the news, you're talking about an accident or personal injury, you're the expert. People in that local area will be like, "Whoa, he's on the news."
And that's the beauty of it. I mean, look, there's a number of stations that float the local syndication. You have ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS. So there's a number of players to negotiate with to try to get that in place segment. Like you can get that in place segment, and then you can utilize it into your social media and just get exponential leverage from it. Because, like you said, you are featured on the local piece.
People still love that, especially in the avatar of the working class entrepreneur. They respect that. That takes a certain level of credibility to even get booked. So
No, for sure, for sure. So, another topic that we had, is if you're still sitting on the sidelines when it comes to social media, like just start a schedule and start to syndicate and start to go live. I mean, it's as simple as, essentially you could do a market Monday. So talk about what happened in your market. Talk Tuesday. So pull in a local, another associate or a paralegal and talk about what a client should be doing or could be doing. Do a wacky Wednesday. Talk about something wacky that happened in your community and then essentially like parlay it into, how you can help people. Do a thankful Thursday, what you're doing in the community as a nonprofit perspective and why you're thankful as a respecter, why you're thankful for the opportunities the community does give you. And then when it comes to Friday, I mean, everybody can relate with a Friday of like, what's happening this weekend, make it feel good, talk about a couple of local events that are going to be going down so people have things to do. Or essentially, you had Father's Day weekend and you have every excuse to talk about what's going on this weekend or, the movies coming out, How to Train Dragon, just all the fun things that you could be doing. Make sure that you're covering those because, there's no excuse. There's 5 days a week and it's really simple to come up with a topic per each.
totally. And you can even just use your phone, folks. I mean, you can literally, you don't have to use all the crazy creative stuff that Zuckerberg made for us to use software. But I mean, you can literally just hit go live on your phone, live video. And then just set it up so that you can just go live right on your phone. Talk to your people. Save the video, chop it up, post it. There's tons of tools. And yeah, maybe if you're a business owner and you're busy, you don't have a whole bunch of time, take that and give somebody the file and let them chop it up and post it for you. There's so many ways to go about this. And then you bring in Hoffman. He takes the best clips, he runs them as ads, sends them to your website. If your website's ugly, he fixes it for you. Now you actually have something that didn't cost much that you're turning into content and you're turning into revenue.
Correct. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of ways to turn, interest and like content into revenue and opportunities. Yeah, and there's a whole lot of ways that, we can go into on future broadcasts, but there's a lot of ways to utilize your space to make it an effective studio to just produce and air content. So you're at least, hitting the airwaves, which today's airwaves are essentially Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. That's where a lot of the eyes and ears are going, if not there already.
Totally. And they're definitely there already. And I think that the people that are starting now, you're not too late, by the way. No one who hits record and post today is too late. That's a myth.
You have like a 15 or 20-year time horizon from today as to like where this continues to go. It's
Totally. And I've said this before too. I've worked with the Cardones and the Vaynerchuks and these guys as an event MC, mainly on stage, made them a couple funny song videos. But like those people have been telling us, the next generation, to get on camera for 5 or 10 years. And because they know they want another generation of entrepreneurs and creative innovators to be the fill up that bubble when they go. And that's our job as American entrepreneurs, is to step in and to be those leaders and to be those voices for people that feel like, hey man, maybe my message doesn't matter. My idea is no good. This, that, or the, my firm isn't going to be able to get those deals. It's like, that's a myth. You just need to make yourself available.
I mean, look, that's a myth. And we continue to have that, conversation of David versus Goliath. At the end of the day, Goliath can't be in every market, but David can. If you have, 50 different states, 50 different markets, and you're all seeing the same competitor on a national basis, stop kidding yourself and get localized. They can't compete with hyper localized, localness. You can't, it's just unless they have like full-time newsrooms, which they might start to do here soon, you can really compete at a localized level very efficiently.
Totally, totally. And I'm all over Dallas and Fort Worth, just like you're all over the Florida market with the firms. And it's like you have to be the go-to person in those areas. Hey, you need a studio. Hey, you need an ads guy. Those are the people you call. It's the people you see every week.
For sure, for sure.
So what's the next one? I'm excited
That's all
about
we
the
got, man.
NBA one, but I
Definitely,
don't want to jump the gun.
nah, we hit 5 topics. I think we're good, man. We're definitely,
Well,
we
I
hit a
do want
number
to
of
talk
different
about
areas.
the NBA thing and how viewership is declining and how Stephen A. Smith was playing solitaire on his phone and it's all over TikTok. Let's talk
Look,
about why that has, because dude, you called this like 3 months ago. There's multiple scenarios happening all over the internet now when we text,
yeah.
and you've called them 90 days, 120 days, 150 days out, and they're happening now.
No, for sure. Look, it's the reality of today's market. It's like the plans are in the writing. There's plenty of editorial out there, and there's plenty of news articles that people just aren't reading. That it's like literally telling you what's actually happening. Look, the NBA the NBA viewership is rapidly dropping. It's been a decline since players, just have no respect for the fans. They want to take days off because they want to, what did they call it? It's
Load management, you said
load
earlier.
management. Load management. Let's teach that one to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, being the role models of yesteryear. Like we were talking, like Kobe Bryant's probably the last real role model the NBA has produced. And, God bless him. But definitely, you have Michael Jordan coming back on the air to try to save the NBA. But essentially, if you watch what's happening, it's on a rapid decline. And this
Mm-hmm.
is no joke for them. Even MLB's having a little bit of challenge. The Savannah Bananas are getting airtime on ESPN over Major League Baseball, which is like Savannah Bananas is, that's like the gimmick of baseball and the Harlem Globetrotters of our time. But they're making time, they're making the airwaves. So, it's gonna continue to evolve. The NFL viewership during the last Trump administration, if we recall, was on a huge decline. So, like, don't kid yourself going into this new NFL season that, Mr. Trump is back in office. So, like, don't think that the NFL is going to be immune from viewership declines. His players have, still the same antics off the field as they did in the past, and like these are all things we wouldn't teach our children to do. So why is it acceptable to, role model professional athletes that are doing things that, we just wouldn't even tolerate in the legal system and make them role models and give them the viewership that they want? Like they want the viewership. They need the fans. And that's the reality the fans are, I think, starting to say is like the best thing fans can do to express themselves is tune out. And you're continuing to see it on a rapid clip.
And again, the reason why I brought it up was even people like Stephen A. Smith were tuning it out, and that's why that video is viral of him on solitaire. He wasn't even watching the game. He's not even paying attention anymore. He's going to get his teleprompter points no matter what. I got a teleprompter too.
Yeah, no, look, Stephen A. Smith definitely has made a name for himself on
He's
Twitter
a
on
great
this.
broadcaster. Nobody's denying that. He's
Yeah,
fantastic.
but I'm just saying he's peeled himself off. Like
Yep.
whether ESPN has viewership or not, or there's viewership on specific networks, Stephen A. Smith still has his audience.
Yeah, he's built
Or
his own
feel
personal
like-
brand for sure. He could go anywhere and do his own show with anybody.
Oh, for sure.
And he
Yeah,
knows that now.
he's built that up. He's probably bigger than a lot of the streams themselves, a lot of the networks. But
That's
he
so
did use
important.
those-
That goes right into making yourself available, becoming the face of your local market, becoming the go-to trusted person. When something happens, you've got a personal injury, there's an accident, you need representation. Who are they going to call? It's the person that they've made available, that's built the trust, that's got the genuine, spirit. And that's what people are looking for today. The hotshot celebrity, famous basketball player and rapper thing. It's like, it's all faded out. And most of those people don't end up with any money at the end of their lives anyway.
No, look, it's not necessarily about that, but definitely.
You know what I mean? The facade of success, I think that people are seeing through it, and they want genuine connection.
Yeah, at the end of the day, genuine connection does win out. Even the athletes that do continue to have fans and that continue to like, really take down the big contracts. You know, they have their own fan bases outside of the
Right.
league, outside of the teams. They have their own following, you know, and they stand for something.
Totally. Like Shaq.
Shaq.
I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hit us up. It is the firm. My little system is just not wanting to do anything right today, but we're still live. It still worked. And if you have any questions, click on our name, click on Zach's name, ask him questions, ask me questions. We are here to serve. We want to be available for you, and we want you to win. So get out there, make some content, make it happen this week, and we'll see you on the next one.
Have an awesome week.
Rock on.